We have our first guest of 2023, Katie Allen. If you haven't heard of them, you definitely have to check them out. We'll put all their socials below. But Katie and I have an incredible conversation about how the industry has revolved so much from even 5 years ago of taking her first ever lash course and now what she's doing today. Basically, she retired her husband. He's able to be a stay-at-home father, as well as her support system, and how she has 3 beautiful children and how she's able to rock the lash world. Subscription boxes are an incredible way to utilize your business, your products, as well as even purchasing as a beauty professional yourself. I'll put all our links, like I mentioned, below. You definitely want to check out her brand, as well as even work with her possibly in the future. We definitely have, and it has changed our business for the better. So let's play that episode.
Absolutely. So my name is Katie Allen. I am the owner of the Lash Artist Box and Beyoutiful Wandz, BWL Lashes. I started in the industry, almost 5 years ago now. It's crazy to say that because as you get deeper and deeper down into the industry, like I felt like I was one of like the newest people joining, and then I look back and it's 5 years later. So 5 years ago, I moved from Colorado to Georgia with my husband. I have my degree in criminal justice, and I was a probation officer in Colorado. When we moved to Georgia, they wanted to pay me $28,000 for the year as a probation officer. And I was 6 months pregnant at the time, and I had 1 baby at home. And so that wasn't really an option for us. And so I was looking into different options on how to make money and to help support my family. I was cocktail waitressing at an Italian restaurant. And ever since I could remember, I had always gotten eyelash extensions. And so I actually went to a young lady who had just gotten her certification. And I asked her all about it and, how she got into it and how long it took her to do. And she said, yeah, all you need is a certification. And it took me about an hour to get certified. And now I'm great. I'm like, oh, great. I could do that. So I borrowed $500 from my mother-in-law, and I got this amazing certification. If you didn't sense like the sarcasm in my voice, it was there. I left that training like way more confused and backwards than anything else. But the type of personality that I am, the type of person that I am, like I dove head first, and I had all the confidence in the world that like I was the best lash artist ever. And so, I
Don't
get on
we all?
right. And so like I would get on Facebook, and I like vividly remember doing a lash set for like $40, and I didn't understand that you needed to like isolate lashes and like that's how you made them look more full. I was like, well, this isn't working. So I would just like, I can't believe I'm telling you this. I would literally use the glue to make it look more full. You know what I mean? Like it'd be like, oh, well, that's how it works. Now I get it. And for all those people's lashes that I did when I started, I'm so sorry. But I would take pictures of these different lash sets, and I would put them in lash groups because I was all in, and I'm in all these different lash groups, and I would literally get crickets. Like nobody would comment, nobody would like it. They're like better left unsaid, right? And so, I didn't think much of that. But I was looking into aftercare for all these clients that I had. I had like 2 clients at the time. And I saw these little lash wands. And so I started making these lash wands, and people started messaging me like, oh, how do you make those? Can you make those for me? Can I buy some?
Okay.
And it was pretty crazy that like one thing led to another, that I was making close to 1,000 lash wands a week. And people were placing orders for these things. And, I would look at my husband and be like, we're making enough to get by with these lash wands. And so that was my part-time gig. Like I stopped doing lashes and started making these lash wands. I have no idea like what being a business owner meant or e-commerce or making websites or any of those things. But I kind of learned along the way. And so, one thing led to another where I was doing lash wands. I turned that into like custom aftercare where you could put your logo in small quantities for aftercare. I partnered with Prolong and with Ruthie Bell.
Oh, wow.
And I was able to turn this thing that I was just kind of did by accident into a business. It got so busy that I had the two kids at home. My husband was working full time, and was ending up making more than he was at that time. So we made the decision that he was going to quit his job, and I was going to try to pursue whatever the heck this was and turn it into some sort of business. And so when you get into like lashing and the lash industry, usually the knowledge of lashing is there, and then you create a brand. Well, for me, it was kind of backwards. I had some knowledge of the lashes, but I had started this following and, people that trusted me and trying new things and new products and just learning and growing as I went along, that the knowledge of lashes came secondary. And that was a challenge in and of itself.
Yeah.
But, I was at one point on my kitchen table, I would work 8 to 10 hours a day just putting labels on things and making lash wands, and it was ridiculous. So we thought it's time for me to try to get a brick and mortar, and so we did. We got a brick and mortar 2 years ago, Marietta Square. And we had to add, lashes. We have lashes, glues, everything that you would need from a brand, not just these lash wands anymore. But that's where it all started.
That's so neat.
Yeah. So 2 years ago, we got this brick and mortar, and now we have some place for people to come in and try, their lashes or their glues and their tweezers before they buy them. Or if your adhesive is running behind, you could come in and grab an adhesive, or if you need lashes, you can come in and do that. And so we were here for about a year successfully when the original owner of the Lash Artist Box, Katie Gross, reached out to me and asked me if I might be interested in taking over and buying her company. And I was actually in the Lash Artist Box, the very second Lash Artist Box that there ever was. So to like go back a little bit, I guess the Lash Artist Box, what is that? It is a subscription box company for lash artists. So kind of like BoxyCharms, where you get to try out a whole bunch of different brands at a fraction of the cost. And that is great for both the customer and then for these brands as well, because for the customer, you get to try different brands, see if you like them, see if you don't like them. You're not paying X amount in shipping. You're just able to try different brands and then kind of go from there. For the brands, it's a great opportunity to get your physical product in your target demographics hands directly. And so for me, it was a no-brainer when I was in the Lash Artist Box, and when Katie Gross came to me and asked, if I might be interested in taking over the company, I was kind of like confused as to like why she would be like, well, why would you think of me? And she's like, I worked with you in the past, and you just have a very good business sense. You got your products to me on time. You had really good communication, and you're just somebody that I feel like could take the Lash Artist Box to the next level. And she just couldn't do it anymore. She has a couple salons, and she wasn't giving it the time that it deserved, she said. And so in 2020, I believe, late 2020, I think it was November of 2020, I purchased the company from her, and we switched it from, I believe it was bi-monthly at the time I purchased it from her, and we switched it to a monthly subscription box, and it's doing awesome. It's kind of crazy that I started with these little lash wands, and 5 years down the road, now I'm here with a brick and mortar and 2 lash businesses.
Wow.
That's a little bit about, where I started and where I'm at today.
Miskoka Beauty wants to thank everyone for listening to our podcast, and we're offering 15% off your first bottle of Lash and Brow Serum by Miskoka Beauty. Now, if you haven't heard or if you haven't tried or seen before and afters or even seen reviews, you're definitely going to want to head to miskoka.com and click onto our lash serum to actually read some of the reviews, because this product is unbelievable. It will enhance your natural length and your brows as well, making them more full and absolutely gorgeous. So head over to miskoka.com and type in promo code Beauty Brand Podcast 15. Once again, that's Beauty Brand Podcast 15. Happy shopping and happy lashing.
That's amazing. Well, and I think it's I love how honest you were at the beginning too, of like, I think as lash artists, the education segment has come a long way, even 5 years ago, like you mentioned. Like, I remember getting our lash kits and I was like, oh my gosh, where is this from? Like, I literally thought half the products were from the dollar store. Like, it was pretty alarming, right? But it shows too with the industry how different directions you can go. That's what I love about the beauty industry alone, is you can start as like a technician of any sort and then turn it into either like a product line, subscription, working, collabing with others as well. And actually our business, like Miskoka Beauty, has obviously been in the boxes, and like we were mentioning before this call, it is such a win-win for everybody. The end consumer, yourself, us as a brand coming in and actually being in the boxes, hearing feedback. And instead of going to like a trade show and being in person, we get to actually kind of customize these packages and submit items that we might not be able to get into the direct consumer, like you mentioned. What are some of the biggest like pivoting points that you had to figure out with the product line, as well as like e-com, like kind of what was some of the struggles you found kind of pivoting into those different segments of the industry?
Yeah, so one thing that I am definitely guilty of is trying to take on too much and to do everything.
Yeah.
And so just really learning when to delegate and when to say, hey, somebody else could probably do this better.
Mhm.
When I started my brand for BWL Lashes, I had no idea that it was going to turn into a lash brand. And so I traded my original logo for 50 lash wands. I created all the packaging for all of the things all by myself, and looking back at that, you could tell. And so just kind of learning that, there's graphic designers for a reason. There are people that, can capture a logo and a design in a way that I couldn't even start to understand.
Mhm.
And so being able to delegate appropriately to actually grow the brand was very important. My husband would probably describe me as cheap. And so learning where and when to spend so that you can grow things into something that you really had no idea where it could get to.
Yeah, I always say like hiring the professional for a specific, like I noticed that I used to take all of our own photos, and then finally now I've like decided to delegate that to a photographer, and like it's night and day difference. Like I yeah, I'm starting to learn that as well. But as a startup, you only have so much income when you start, right? And
Yes.
and the biggest thing is starting. Like you said, like, yeah, your logo might not have been the prettiest, but at least you got the product out there into people's hands and you started. I
Yeah.
always say that that's the most important thing moving forward with being a business owner, is just getting started is half the battle, right?
Yes, absolutely. And it's a fine line that you want to walk, because I don't regret learning how to do the websites by myself, learning how to do the graphics, learning how to do this, learning how to do that, because now I know my businesses inside and out. And
Yes.
so I know, no, that's not how I want it, or this is how I want it. And then I'm able to appropriately delegate that forward to somebody.
Mhm.
If I just jumped in with $1 million, I'd be making, you know what I mean? Like, I think I was watching Shark Tank one day and they say you could either make big mistakes or small mistakes. So you could do it on a big scale or a small scale.
Yeah.
If you're making these small mistakes, you know, with 10 orders or 10 customers, that's going to be a lot easier on your business than if you were to jump in and have 1 million customers and make, you know, 50% of those customers unhappy because you don't understand fully what you're doing with your business.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a fine line, but learning where that fine line is.
Yeah, and too, like with any industry, I know a lot of entrepreneurial books I've read, it talks about like the founder starting the business from nothing and growing it to the top, but also getting your employees or staff to understand each movement within the business. Like even us, all of our estheticians at our brick and mortar spa, I'm like, I want them to know how to cash people in and out, how to use the POS system, understand how to do all of that, because who knows, someone might call in sick one day or someone might not be there. But even with our businesses, I think it's hard. And you're probably the same, I'm guessing, is delegating, getting other people to take on different tasks here and there as well.
Yeah. No, so that's probably one thing that I struggle with the most, is being a good boss, I guess.
Yeah.
I have a hard time not trying to be your friend and
I
not,
feel
like,
yeah.
and then like not understanding the fact that like if I ask for something to get done, why it doesn't get done. Maybe it's my personality that I'm the type of person that you ask me once, it's going to get done. Like you won't have to circle back and check in on me, but not everybody is like that. And so understanding that people are different and learning to work with them and bring out the best in them. I don't know if I'm the best at that. And so
Well, and
that's
then
definitely been
admitting
a
that.
challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, and being okay with admitting that too. I always say that's the biggest thing is actually recognizing things you need to work on, right, are important. But I mean, you're also a mother of 2 children, you said?
3. Yeah.
3 now.
Yes.
So yeah, that's I think part of it too, right? Is
Absolutely.
they always say ask a mother to do something because they're gonna get it done, as well as multitasking, and they're the most productive people you'll ever meet. So
Yeah, well, I mean, I do agree with that. I'm not going to take all that credit because my husband is a stay-at-home daddy
oh,
and
that's
he does the
awesome.
cooking, he does the cleaning, he does everything. And you know, without him, and he's like the silent side of the business, right? Like people don't see the things that he's doing behind the scenes in order for me to be productive here.
Yes.
So yes, you say that I am a mother of 3, and yes, I love my babies and I am a great mother,
Yeah.
but he definitely takes on the workload of the quote unquote motherly duties. And I want to give him his props for that.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Shout out.
Right.
That's awesome. And I think it's teamwork while you're at home, at work. Like there's so many people who are involved, especially when you're the business owner too, right? There's all the behind the scene things we don't see, right? And our support systems are always the most important at the end of the day. Now, back to like the business side of things, when you started, how did you start the subscription side of things? You said that Katie, who you had purchased it from, she was doing it quarterly. How did you take a kind of like a poll from some of the other people that were purchasing to see if the monthly subscription was more ideal or the quarterly? How did you kind of make that decision to pivot?
So I made the decision because yes, there was a lot of requests to make it a monthly box, and it was kind of in my mind a no-brainer because you can skip or pause the subscription at any time. So if you want it to be a quarterly thing, you can make it a quarterly thing. If you want it to be once a year thing, you can make it once a year thing. But just giving the different options
Mm-hmm.
to everybody, I felt like was the best business decision. Now, I mean, that didn't come without it making a little bit harder on the business because now, you know, I have to have 2 to 3 months kind of planned out to know, you know, when's my next move, when's the next person coming in to take pictures, when were we going to do videos, making sure I have all my products. There's a lot that goes in behind the scenes that you don't see. If the products are delayed getting in, Or, you know, I had an issue where a company sent the products and they had a lash wash inside of there, and the lash wash spilled all over everything, like everything inside. And I mean, luckily, I have a commercial printer here, and so I was able to reprint out the labels and, you know, redo all these bottles, but that literally took, you know, 20 hours.
Yeah.
That, you know, people don't see these things. And so I think the year that I've had the box, I think that there's been 2 times that it's gone out late.
Mhm.
One time the tweezers were supposed to be overnighted from within the US,
Mhm.
and they lost the package and it took them 10 days to get it to
Oh my
us
goodness.
from the US. And so like things like that, you know, they're beyond your control. And I just have to remind myself to like take a step back and like breathe a little bit, because if things don't go exactly as planned, then I tend to freak out. Um but I
Yeah.
think that I've definitely definitely mastered due dates and needing to have this on this exact date to make sure that this is, you know, an easy process.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's not, the monthly thing's definitely not the easiest, but I think it's the best option for everybody.
Oh, definitely. And I feel like it's one of those things like, I mean, e-commerce, I'm starting to realize that now is like having realistic expectations when things needs to be done. Like I'm the same, like if I want it done, I want it done like today. Like it needs to be finished and completed. But then I'm like, okay, is this realistic? And then realizing, okay, this is why that sale didn't go well because we just threw it together in a day and published it. Like I think that's
Well,
something.
I struggle with that because there's times, and I think maybe it's like the 1 in 10 times that like it works out perfectly and you're like, see, I could do this.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But then, you know, maybe 9 out of 10 times, yeah, it doesn't work. So
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
For those who have been listening, you know I'm a massive fan of Squarespace, and I don't really know what I would do without them. With both our brick and mortar store as well as our e-commerce, I can do everything in one place. Whether it's e-commerce, I can do inventory, email campaigns, appointments, and so much more. Now, Beauty Behind the Brand has partnered up with Squarespace to offer you 10% off your first subscription. All you need is promo code PARTNER10.
Well, even the shipments and even getting boxes made, like, oh my gosh, your boxes are always so beautiful. The designs you make, I don't know how you come up with these ideas every month you're basically changing the style of the box. Now, do you reach out to brands? Like what is the ratio of brands reaching out to you, or are you reaching out to brands to be in the subscription box now?
So yeah, from last May, I think I had the boxes filled all the way up to March.
Wow.
And that was definitely a combination of like trade shows. That's an awesome place for us to go.
Yeah.
It's good for a couple of reasons. We have the Lash Artist box. We have like leftover boxes that we bring with us. And so the brands that were in the boxes also get to come to the trade show with us, which is awesome because
Yeah.
that's another way of getting your products into people's hands that isn't e-commerce.
Mhm.
And then you get to meet other people from the trade show that are like, how do I get in the box?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's been probably about a 50-50 split. I know that when I took over the company, like I was in everybody's DMs and I was like, hey, guess what? And so people are responding to that now, and just making those different connections with people in person is, I feel like, a definitely different than, you know, trying to slide into their DMs.
Yeah.
But we do have 2 different options now for the takeover box for the brands. I don't know if maybe you've seen them. We have the regular box, which is different products into the box from different brands. And then we have the takeover box now. And the takeover box is one brand. And that one brand gets to put in all the products into the box. The box will be designed for them. And the entire month on the Lash Artist box will be representative of that brand. And so that's been 2 things, like easier on me when we have a takeover box, because I'm not doing 30 different brands inside one box. But it's also been really cool for the brands because it's all about them. And I've really gotten some good feedback from that as well.
That's amazing. And like for us, we're here in Canada. So like, I mean, the States has the population is insane. Like it's always a nice way to test the market for different companies as well. So is there anything that you would tell like people starting their business? We were kind of talking about this before, and like not being so hard on ourselves, the like time commitment as well as organization, all of that good stuff. But is there something that you would have told yourself like 5 years ago when you started in the beauty industry and specific lashing, like what you would tell yourself 5 years ago going into it?
Looking back now, it's kind of a double-edged sword because I'm definitely the type of person that like jumps and then builds it on the way down. Like that's my personality 100%. But there have been times like we had just talked about where you jump and you try to get things together as quickly as possible. And if you would have taken that extra, couple of days or couple of weeks to make sure everything was done correctly, it would have saved you a lot of time in the end. For example, I tend to order things very quickly, like boxes for my brand. I just, came up with like 3 different size boxes and I said, man, that's great. Let's do it. And I put the order in and then they came and some of them fit the products and some of them didn't. And some of them were like, literally all I had to do was go and measure some boxes and take 10 minutes of my time. But instead I had to get rid of, 3,000 plus boxes before I could do it the right way. So just slowing down a little bit and like looking around at what I actually need and doing that correctly.
Oh my gosh, you and I literally sound the same. My team's like, whoa, okay, one thing at a time. Let's like take a deep breath. They're the ones that have made me realize that we need to be more time management, because I'm like, okay, let's publish this today. Let's do this now. So, and I think as business owners, you always kind of need that yin and yang. You need someone else to kind of balance it off and or learn from those mistakes moving forward too, because it's time and money, right, at the end of the day. And like you say, you could take that extra time to measure the box and to order it correctly, and or be stuck with thousands of boxes.
And I mean, they were usable, but
it's not exactly ideal either.
It's so funny that you brought that up because I have recently I was working with a woman that is definitely an entrepreneur. And I hired her on my team, and I had all these great plans for us, and like this is going to grow things and this is going to be great, but we were way too similar where we both left messes, we both like I don't know, like we love each other and we but we did not work well together. I definitely need that person that is able to, tell me to slow down and clean up my mess. And you definitely, when you're going into business, find somebody that compliments you.
Yes. Well, and it's like a relationship too, I find, right? Like whether it's I always call them my work wives, all the girls that I work with, because I basically spend more time with them than I do my partner. So it's like, finding that balance in someone that you enjoy working with, but that also compliments you, like you mentioned. I think that's so important. And I think finding somebody who isn't good at what you're good at too, that balance of oh, you're good at social media side of things where I'm better at like the in-person like event stuff. What are some of the big events that you guys go to so people can check you out if they do go to any trade shows? Do you have any coming up in the new year?
So we always go to LashCon. We've been at LashCon since they started, and so that's just one that we absolutely always go to. Last year we were at IBS in Vegas. And I think we're gonna try to do the Lash Fest in Texas this year. So look out for us there. And I think those are the only ones right now, but I mean it's December, so we have plenty of time to figure that out as well.
Amazing. Actually, we've been in LashCon and Lash Fest, and I'm actually introducing some of them on our podcast this season too. So be a nice little intro. You guys can both chat about that too. I feel like the industry is just growing now that the pandemic hopefully is behind us in the sense of now it's like time to go. I think it's going to be a big year in 2023. I feel like it's going to be a good one. I have a good feeling about it. Knock
Yeah,
on wood.
no, I hope so. Right?
Now, have you noticed a big boost in sales this year with the subscription boxes as well?
So when I took over the subscription, I saw a big decrease to start. And the
Okay.
reason for it is the person that I am and the way that I market and the things that I do were very different than what Katie Gross did. Her
Mhm.
target demographic and her reach was completely different than mine. And so you have to expect that taking over a brand or starting something new or doing something differently, that there's going to be people that don't like it. But then you're going to find your people that do like it. And so I did find a decrease when we started, but we are past now the original subscription when I had taken over. So yeah, I mean, we're doing great. We're growing, and it's fun. I love being able to collaborate and talk with different brands and see what other brands are doing, and just it's amazing. I love supporting women and collaborating with women and just interacting. It's probably the best part of that job.
Oh yeah, and I feel like the younger group of women that are coming into this industry are so much about community and building, and that's what I found here. Even we have a spa, like a brick and mortar spa here, and I found that with the spa owners, like I remember right before, like we had a wedding to work and I didn't have any nail forms left. We were completely out and it was just a miss on our part of inventory. And I could run down the street and grab some nail forms from another local spa. Like I find it builds each other up. And that's what we love about, even like look at the lash industry, like in the past, 5 years, how much, the past 2 years, the past year, how much it's growing and revolving, and just the education now that's behind it, like we were mentioning before, is it's exploding. It's just going to keep getting better and better. And in the tools, that's what I love about your business, is you get to experiment with different tools that might make your craft even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant model. Like it's so smart. Like you said, it's like boxy charm, but specifically for lash artists. It's great. Yeah, I love it. And bringing in that niche too, because I find as like beauty, as like nail, like even having like nails, lashes, waxing, like there's so many different things within the beauty industry, but being able to hone in on that one niche is so incredible. So is there any finishing notes that you can share with the rest of the group? Any goals you have for 2023 or anything moving forward for this year that you can let our listeners know about?
Nothing in the works right now, but definitely, if you haven't heard of either BWL, Beautiful Wandz Lashes, or the Lash Artist Box, go ahead, check us out. We do custom products, putting your logo on products. We specialize in pro-made loose bands. And then, like you said, the Lash Artist Box is just a great way to try products, to try different brands out there, and just to like expand on what you're doing and see what's out there.
I love it so much. And we'll put all your links below too, so everyone can click on and listen. And then we'll also have this uploaded on YouTube. We'll do IGTV as well. So we'll share all the links and tag you as well. So thanks so much for jumping on board. I love that we kicked this season off with you, Katie. I think it's a great intro to bring in the new 2023.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks, Katie.
Thank you.